handing down a 5-4 decision that means no U.S. state can ban same-sex marriage anymore. As news rippled through the crowds who were rallying for marriage equality outside the courthouse, people broke out into cheers, followed quickly by patriotism. There on the front steps, you have this man. Let me hone in on Jim Obergefell and tell you his story. He is the lead plaintiff in the Supreme Court case, starting this legal battle after his long-term partner passed away back in 2013. And because same-sex marriage wasn't legal in their home state of Ohio, Obergefell was enlisted on his husband's death certificate. But today, his fight for equality is over, and he spoke with our justice correspondent, Pamela Brown. And as he did so, this was almost a once-in-a-lifetime moment here that was captured live on CNN. His phone rang, and our cameras were rolling during this emotional moment when you know who was on the other end of that phone call? The president called him personally to thank him.
Yes, it is, Mr. President.
Jim, I figured when I saw you that we were going to be hoping for some good news, and we did. I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it was your wishes.
Your leadership on this, has changed the country.
I really appreciate that, Mr. President. It's really been an honor for me to be involved in this fight and to have been able to, fight for my marriage and live up to my commitments to my husband. So I appreciate everything you've done for the LGBT community, and it's really an honor to have become part of that fight.
Well, I'm really proud of you, and just know that not only have you been a great example for people, but you're also going to bring about a lasting change in this country. And it's pretty rare when that happens. So I couldn't be prouder of you and your husband. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. That means an incredible amount to me. And yeah, thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for the call, Mr. President. Bye.
Thanks for the call, Mr. President. We'll talk to Pamela Brown in a second about that moment. But first, after that phone call, the president addressed the nation.
This decision will end the patchwork system we currently have. It will end the uncertainty hundreds of thousands of same-sex couples face from not knowing whether their marriage, legitimate in the eyes of one state, will remain if they decide to move or even visit another. This ruling will strengthen all of our communities by offering to all loving same-sex couples the dignity of marriage across this great land.
Let's go to Pamela Brown, who is still there on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court. And Pamela, we will talk about that phone call that you caught on live TV in a minute. But first, to the ruling itself, 5-4 here. Justice Kennedy writing the majority opinion. Tell me about it.
It's just been an extraordinary, historic day here at the Supreme Court, Brooke. In fact, a lot of people thought we were going to get this ruling on Monday, the last day of the term. So it was a bit of a surprise when we found out that the opinion was going to be announced today. And as soon as we found out it was Justice Kennedy, you could feel sort of the energy change out here outside in front of the Supreme Court. And then as soon as it was announced that Justice Kennedy, the majority on the Supreme Court, made same-sex marriage a nationwide constitutional right, you could hear the crowd just erupted in applause. They were screaming. Balloons were released into the air. Americans have been fighting for decades. This is one of the greatest civil rights issues of our time, and Justice Kennedy cemented his legacy as a gay rights champion. And here's what he said in the opinion today, and sort of explaining why he made this decision. He said, talking about same-sex couples, their hope is not to be condemned to live in loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right. So, Brooke, this is a broad ruling by Justice Kennedy saying that same-sex couples have a right to marry and they are protected by the Constitution.
Pamela, in 30 seconds, that phone call with the plaintiff and the president, total serendipity.
Total serendipity. It was timing and luck, Brooke. I had just finished up the interview with Jim Obergefell, a really emotional interview, and apparently, little note to me, President Obama was on hold waiting to talk to him when we were doing the live interview. So really incredible. I had no idea. And then after he started walking away, they came back and said, "Do you want to capture this?" And I said,
Yes.
I think
yes,
so.
we did. You made the right decision, Pamela Brown.
I think I did. I feel pretty good about that one, Brooke.
That is the photo that will be all over the papers tomorrow. Pamela Brown, thank you so much at the U.S. Supreme Court. You know, today's celebrations, of course, extending far beyond the Beltway there in Washington. Rosa Flores is inside New York City Hall, where in moments from now, the mayor there of New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio, will officiate not just one but two same-sex ceremonies following today's decision in Washington. Dan Simon is in San Francisco, where he just spoke to California's Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom. So, Dan, let me just go to you and also show these live pictures from the Stonewall Inn. This is the right side of the screen. That was when the riots broke out back in '69, when the gay patrons there at the bar once upon a time said enough is enough, and that was the beginning of this massive movement. So we'll take you there in just a second. Again, this weekend marks the 46th